today I'm doing a video all about getting your period. I feel like this is quite a taboo subject, especially here on YouTube. People they like to use alternative words and just kind of skim over it, like feminine products, it's a pad or a tampon, and I don't think it should be that way. It's a natural thing. Blood flows from your vagina on like a monthly basis. It's time to embrace it. Before I start, I should probably clarify I'm not a doctor. It's a common misconception. I'll forgive you. All of the information that I'm going to be sharing with you is from my own personal experience or information that's been passed on to me, so take it with a grain of salt. Also, it's important to remember that everybody is different. Everybody's body develops at different rates. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. It's gonna be a great time. I hope guys are watching this. I was talking about making this video and a couple of people were like, oh, aren't you scared about like guys watching this? No, I hope guys are watching this, honestly. So what is a period? Interesting question. Let's Google this shizness. A period or I can't even say this word. Every time I look at the word, I just think of minestrone soup. So I tend not to say it. I don't know how to... Menstruation. This video is off to a great start. Menstruation. A discharging of blood, secretions and tissue debris from the uterus that recurs in non-pregnant breeding age primate females at approximately monthly intervals. Tissue debris. I love that. It sounds like our uteruses are like building sites. It reoccurs in non-pregnant breeding age primate. Basically, it's the monthly process of blood flowing from your vagina. Most girls tend to get it when they are around 12, 13, but like a lot of things, not everyone fits into that average kind of expectation. Some people can be as young as like 8 years old, which I honestly couldn't imagine. I know some people that have been that young, and props to you. I don't even know how I deal with that at 8. And then in contrast, some people can be as old as like 16, 17, 18, which again, I couldn't even imagine. For me personally, I got my period when I was 13. Almost 14. It was 3 days before my 14th birthday, so it was just a great birthday present. I was honestly excited. I don't even know what I was thinking. Often you may hear a lot of like code words for being on your period, like the renovators are visiting, I don't know, something like that. It's that time of the month, you're surfing the crimson wave. There are a lot of different alternative words. When I was younger and periods were like all the rage, like that's all we talked about when I was like 12 or 13. Me and my friends came up with little code words. One of them was cheese, which is odd. Like we used to say, oh, I have my cheese. Is it camembert? Is it cheddar? Who knows? And then we also used to call it FB, which stood for friendship bracelet, and we decided that whenever we were on our period, we would draw, not even wear, we would draw a little friendship bracelet, and so we would all know that that person was on their period and we could like morally support them. We were so strange. That's your period basically, and it comes on a monthly basis. 28 days is like the average. For me personally, I only get it every like 5 weeks, which was fine with me. I'm okay with that. There are two popular ways of handling your period. The first one is pads, and then the other one is tampons. Pads and tampons are like the conventional popular forms of, I don't want to say protection, but I guess it is. Pads are really good when you first get your period because they're super easy. You just put them in your underwear and it just collects the blood. Not everyone likes them, so a lot of people tend to switch to tampons, which you put up your vagina and it collects the blood once again. So you have options. It's whatever tickles your fancy, whatever you feel comfortable using. Some side effects of getting your period are cramps. That is a big one. For me personally, I don't really suffer from them a lot. I have a few times, and a few times too many, my friends. It's very painful. Not like excruciating, like oh my gosh, I'm on my deathbed, but it can be quite a shock to the system. Cravings, oh my gosh. Sometimes I even question, am I pregnant or am I on my period? Like, because these cravings are out of control. I'm like a 6-month pregnant lady, like there is no stopping me. Also your skin, cramps, cravings and bad skin. It's a way of life. As for my first period story, it's an interesting one. As I mentioned, I was 13, almost 14. It was 3 days before my 14th birthday, so I was living it up. I was at my favorite cafe, which I still go to this day, so God bless. I'll always remember you as the place that I got my period. I was out with my family, just eating lunch, and we were about to leave, and I just went to the toilet, just casually. I was like, yeah, just gonna pee. And I noticed the tiniest pinprick of blood, and I was like, is this my period? I was so unsure because when I imagined getting my period for the first time, I thought like a murder scene down there. Like I was prepared for the worst, and it was literally the tiniest dot of blood, and I was like, really? Like, this can't be it. I found my diary from when I first got my period, and I was like, oh my gosh, I thought it was a bum cut, but I was wrong. It was my period. Yeah, I literally thought it was a bum cut. Like I'd scratched myself when I was getting dressed or something. I don't know. So I didn't really think much of it. We were going home anyway. So when we got home, the first thing I did is rush to the bathroom just to double check, and sure enough, there was a little bit more blood, and I was like, this is it. This is my moment. I was honestly happy. I was relieved that I'd finally gotten my period. The first thing I did is told my mum, obviously. When I told my mum, I word for word literally said, "Mum, I'm a woman." She immediately knew what I meant, which was good. Would have been a little bit awkward if she was like, what do you mean, honey? And she hugged me and she helped me out, and we just had a little chat, and that was that. As for some period horror stories, boy do I have a story for you. The first one isn't that bad. I was 15, 16, I think it was the beginning of year 10, and I was on my period. I was wearing the summer uniform, which is like this light green dress, and I was just finishing up on my period, but I made sure that I wore like PE shorts underneath my dress just in case, like as an extra precaution, because blood and a light green dress, it's not a good combo. So I wore PE shorts, but of course I got a little bit of blood on the back of my dress, and it was in the middle of lunch. I didn't even notice. One of my friends actually called out from me from across the courtyard, and I could just tell by like her tone of voice. She was like, come here, and I was like, oh shit, no. I was standing up like in the middle of the courtyard, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it, this is it, my reputation is over. But a few of my close friends ushered me into the building, and we went to the bathroom, and this was the most annoying thing. I was like, oh my gosh, if there's a drop of blood, like it wasn't a lot, it was just a drop of blood, but it was, you know, noticeable from across the courtyard. If there's a drop of blood, like, ugh, I must be swimming. And when I checked, there was no blood anywhere else but on my dress. I was like, really? Like, how did that even happen? So my friends, this is where it gets beautiful. It was a really good bonding moment. My friends, they all like surrounded me in like a kind of subtle way so that no one could see the back of me. We looked like a boy band, honestly. I was leading the pack, and they were just like surrounding me, and they walked me to my locker so I could get my PE uniform and stuff. But because you're not allowed to wear your PE uniform when you're not in PE, I had to go down to the office, and I was like, I'm on my period, and she was just like, yep, and she just wrote me up a note. She didn't want to hear any details. So that is my period horror story. I have another one which I don't even know if I should say this. This is the worst of the worst. It was the beginning of 2011, and I was on a cruise, and I'd only had my period a couple of times. Both times it had been really like light. I was like, why is everyone complaining? This is easy breezy. There's like no blood. But this third time, it was full on. I was on a cruise ship in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, I think. No time for details. I ended up waking up one morning, and I'd been really, really seasick, so I'd been spending the first few days in bed, and I awoke to blood like everywhere. It wasn't really on the sheets, but the back of my favorite pajama pants were soaked in blood. Like, I've never seen it like that in my life. It was so bad. So I fixed myself up. I was like, what the hell am I gonna do with these pajama pants? They were my favorites as well. They were pink with like cow prints on them. They were really beautiful. There wasn't really any washing facilities. I couldn't keep them in my suitcase. Like, no. You know what? We're gonna have to dispose of these. This is like a dead body. So this is so bad. This is so bad. The next morning I woke up extra early, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go on a run, because there's like a running track along the top. I took my bag, which just so happened to have my blood covered pajama pants in them, and I went up to the top deck, and I threw them off the side when no one was looking. Oh my god. It's so bad. I don't know what I was thinking. And I wasn't even 12. I was 14. I was 14. I just turned 14, but I was still 14. Like, what if they got stuck in like the engine or something, and you know, it was like bloody Titanic over my period covered pajama pants? I was just so like embarrassed. I was like, no one can see these. I can't wash them. There's no return for my cow printed pajama pants. So I threw them off the side of the ship. It feels good to share that story, share that moment in my life. It's a burden off my shoulders. So that is my first period story, my period horror stories. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I hope it was helpful. somewhat. Let me know some of your period horror stories. I would love to know. Just make me feel a little bit better about my cruise ship experience. Also make sure to check out my social media links down below. I'm very active on the social media. I live for Instagram, I live for Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, the whole shebang. It's all down there, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye! Starting off, this is my phone. It is an iPhone 6 64GB white and gold one.